Now let's get more on what's been a remarkable couple of days at Nottingham Forest. Nuno Espirito Santo, who led the club to Europe last season, is out. Ange Postecoglou, sacked by Spurs despite winning the Europa League, is in. What do Forest fans make of it all? Well, Sky Sports have partnered with for analysis, an app where passionate fans share their opinions on their club. If you want to represent your club, you can. You scan the QR code here or visit the Sky Sports app for more details. We can speak to two Forest fans now. We've got Kate Mines and George Edwards. Right, Kate, first of all, we'll go to you. I mean, Nuno Espirito Santo has got you playing Europa League football this season. How gutted are you that he's not there anymore?
Oh, do you know, Nuno won our hearts really, really early on, not just with his results, but with his mild manner, with his obvious passion for the game that we all love. So I am gutted, but I will say that, you know, in 2 weeks' time, when we're in Spain, ready to kick off against Betis, I will definitely be thinking of him and thanking him for taking us there.
Right, well, George, what do you think of this move? It's certainly ruthless. Do you expect it to pay off? And were you happy to see this change?
No, I don't think, like Kate, any Forest fan was happy to see Nuno go. I think by the end we thought he maybe had to, because it wasn't the right decision on the pitch, but off the pitch he said things that really made his position quite untenable, really. So I think we're all upset to see him go. We brought people of my generation, you know, a year where we could believe for the first time in our football club, and, you know, he'll always have a place in our hearts. I think we didn't want him to go. In terms of Ange coming in, it is quite worrying for me. I think it's very 50-50 in the fan base, but I think it's very different to what Nuno brought. The style of play, the mannerisms are very changing, and because things were going so right on the pitch, I'm just wondering whether the drastic change that Nuno sort of might going and Ange might bring is what we need. I'm a bit unsure about it, so I'm still on the fence, really, but I would love to be proved wrong.
Yeah, so Kate, we'll come to you now, because George is saying that he's unsure. How sure are you that Ange Postecoglou is the right man to take you forward?
Do you know what? I 100% believe in our squad. And, you know, we've got real quality and real depth this season, and Ange is lucky to be working with those players. I think we are expecting a different style to be emerging, but then Ange is very, very good at, you know, implementing his style in the clubs that he's managed. So my expectation is that he will absolutely hit the ground running with the team, with the results, and, you know, we're going to have this style of Ange ball with some Forest magic, and he's here now. But so
Kate,
let's get behind him.
Kate, you sound very much like what Tottenham fans did at the start, and then look what happened in that scenario. And you speak to Tottenham fans about the situation, how they felt about Ange ball and all this stuff. Like, it's quickly and easy to see how these things can change. I think the biggest thing for me was on Ange at Tottenham was when they got 2 men sent off against Chelsea and he continued to play this high line and lose 5-1. He's like, well, that's who we are. What do you mean? That was just stubborn. You've got to change the scenario. So I understand that you're excited on that side of it, and they've got the squad and the depth, like you say, but ultimately doesn't always work in that way. And I get why you're excited, but for me, I'd still be a little bit apprehensive.
I also think as well, that's where Nuno was so adaptable. He could change in games, he'd change our style. You know, went to Liverpool, we played 5 midfielders, then we brought Elanga and Hudson-Odoi on and won the game. Nuno was very adaptable, and maybe towards the end, Ange showed that side, but for a lot of the time at Tottenham, he was quite stuck in his ways. And with Nuno's adaptability, I wonder whether
he's not managing Tottenham anymore. He's not managing Tottenham, and he's managing Forest. He's at Forest. He's got Marinakis. He's got our squad. So I don't buy into this narrative that he is going to do exactly the same thing that he did at Tottenham. You know, he's an experienced manager. He didn't just manage Tottenham. He managed Celtic. He managed right down in the lower leagues, in the Australian leagues. This is an experienced guy.
Kate, I understand that, but we can't start comparing him managing at Celtic when it's basically a 2-horse race almost every year to managing in the Premier League. Like, we can't do that. We can't do that at all. And we're going about the big squad. For me, the big eye-opener one is, because I love being a number 9, seeing a big number 9, is what's he's going to do with Chris Wood. Because ultimately, me he is your go-to player to get the goals. He's been your standout player last year. He's hit the ground running again this year. What happens when he starts asking to do things that he cannot do?
Well, what makes you think he cannot
Chris
do
Wood
them?
is not going to want to play left forward or right forward. Tell me you want to see Chris Wood left-hand side crossing the ball in the box. Or right
Again, I just think you don't know that that's what's going to happen.
But we've seen that. We've seen Ange do that previously with Tottenham, no?
We have seen him do it with Tottenham. Again, he's
Nottingham
not
Forest are going to be a
anymore.
different kettle of fish, are they?
We are different. We're a different club.
But it's
we have different
Ange.
players.
Is Ange going to be different, Kate? Is Ange going to be different? That's the problem. Is Ange going to be different? Do you think he's learnt from his time at Tottenham? Because all he ever said is, I'm stubborn and this is who we are.
I think he has to be. And again, my expectation is that he will be. And I just don't buy into the narrative that he is just going to carbon copy Tottenham. I just don't.
George, what's your thoughts on the owner?
Yeah, quickly, I do worry about it because modern managers are very stubborn and they are often set in their ways, and that's why they're often successful, but often holds them back as well. In terms of the owner, as much as we maybe, the media might think it is sort of this pantomime villain, we absolutely love it because he brought Forest from the bottom of the Championship for all of my lifetime back to the Premier League. He puts us on the map, and he's pure entertainment. You know, he puts us on the map. Never a dull moment with Nottingham Forest. Marinakis, he was out in Greece talking to Boris Johnson over the international break. You know, he just does the most amazing things. He's such a rebel, and he represents our football club and our city so well. So from the outside, people might not like him, but you know, as a football owner, I'd much rather somebody as invested as Marinakis in our football club than someone like the Glazers who sit in America and take the profits. You know, he's invested so much money in our squad, and I'd not have anybody else leading our football club at all.
And on that, George, he does put his money up. He backs his managers, he backs the squad. Like you say, he's brought Forest into the Premier League. He's backed them the whole way, puts his money where his mouth is. And look, ultimately, you're in the position now because he's got deep pockets and he was happy to put the money into Nottingham Forest.
And he did that for Nuno this summer, and Nuno sort of almost threw his toys out of the pram. So with Marinakis backing him so hardly and then Nuno coming out and saying the things he said, I think Nuno sort of almost dug his own grave in a way because Marinakis supported him, gave him a new contract in June, and then Nuno sort of seemed unhappy. So, yeah, I think if Marinakis and Nuno were having an argument, there was always going to be one winner.
But, Kate, did it suggest that when Nuno Espirito Santo wasn't too happy this summer, did it suggest that maybe he didn't have as much of a say in transfers as he would have liked to? Sorry,
did Nuno not have as much say?
Yes.
Or did... Yeah. When Marinakis bought in Edu, you know, he brought that guy in to oversee all his footballing operations. And we are being led to believe that there was a clash, that Nuno didn't like that person being brought in between himself and the owner. You know, I really don't want to dwell too much on the last couple of weeks. Nuno has brought us so much joy and so much brilliant football and some magical moments. What's happened with this situation seems to be all about egos and people butting heads, and you know, that's not what I want to see as a fan. I am sad that this is how Nuno has ended, but you know, we've just waxed lyrical about Marinakis, and he is loved. He is loved by the fan base, and he's made this decision for our football club. He's made the decision to end Nuno's contract, and he's made the decision to bring Ange in. So back Marinakis.
And George, Marinakis has actually got his appointments of manager right. I mean, did he get Steve Cooper? I mean, that certainly worked out because you got promoted. Nuno's got you into Europe. So I guess it looks like you both trust him. I suppose ultimately you probably trust him to get this right too.
Yeah, that's something that I've been saying. As much as I don't really back the appointment of Ange, I think maybe Forest took the easy route and appointed somebody that was free. And it was said that they were interested in managers like Iraola or Glasner, who might be harder to get. And I wanted Forest to do the maybe more ambitious thing and get them. But Ange is here. Forest have made that decision. And like you say, Cooper and Nuno, they struck gold with. The last 3 transfer windows have been really strong. Marinakis seems to have got the right people in the right areas to be making those decisions. And obviously there was, 5 years before Cooper where we had Martin O'Neill and managers like that didn't quite work. But yeah, the club have got a lot off the pitch spot on over the last few years. So I think even fans like me who aren't completely behind the appointment of Ange, we'll be behind the team and we'll have full faith in Marinakis.
Kate, what is a successful season this year? What does a successful season look like for Ange and Nottingham Forest?
Top 10 finish in the Premier League. I think, we have got the squad for that, and that is my want more than anything else. I've heard a lot of people say, would you take finishing 17th and the Europa League? And that's a really difficult question to answer, because obviously I'd love a trophy. What fan wouldn't love a trophy?
Yeah.
But I honestly don't think that Ange has been brought into this club by Marinakis to finish 17th in the Premier League. So for me, as the big man once said, the league is your bread and butter. I want a top 10 finish. If we get a trophy as well, fantastic.
I think the big thing you said, and you've said it a couple of times about the squad and how much it's grown and the quality of players you've got in there, of playing Thursday night and then the games playing on a Sunday, that's obviously the one where your squad will be stretched and will be asked for, because you have injuries that happen and players in and out of form, etc., etc. So that will be interesting to see how that goes. George, what about yourself? Where you think, what's a successful season look for you?
Yeah, I'm very similar to Kate, really. I don't think I want to be invested in a relegation battle again. I think the teams at the bottom of the league look a lot stronger this season than they maybe have over the last two. Obviously, it's early stages. But I think if Forest were in around that sort of 15th, 16th battle, it wouldn't be enjoyable for me. And, we've had seasons the last 4 years, a playoff season, then two relegation near seasons, and then a season pushing for Europe. Maybe just we need a season off to just be mid-table, no pressure, and then maybe we can focus on the Europa League once we feel comfortable in the league in the later stages. I think the main thing is not to lose the positivity, because the dressing room is so united at the minute. They were so united under Nuno. And I think if Ange, who was a popular figure in the Tottenham dressing room, if he can come in and take on from Nuno and build that positivity and keep that there, then I think the on-pitch success will carry on.
Kate, we're going to have to talk Elliot Anderson, because he has been brilliant for England in the last two games. I know you've seen firsthand how brilliant he's been for Nottingham Forest. How worried are you about his long-term future at the club?
A player like Elliot Anderson is always going to provoke interest from other clubs. And as Forest fans, we're used to that. We're used to developing young talent and seeing them thrive and then seeing them go. So I am just of the mindset that at the moment he plays in a Forest shirt, and I'm going to enjoy absolutely every moment of his career in a Forest shirt. The big clubs are going to come in, regardless of what happens in the rest of this season under Ange in the Europa. The big clubs are going to circle. We have to accept that. But right now, he plays for us. And you know what? You've only just seen a glimpse of what he is capable of in these last two England games. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, loads of people have been getting in touch, loads of Nottingham Forest fans giving their views. Got a voice note here on the appointment of Postecoglou. So listen to this.
Ange Postecoglou. Nottingham Forest will be playing Championship football next season.
George, is that a... Was that a... I mean, your accent's better than me up there. Was that a Derby fan, or was that a Derby accent or a Nottingham accent?
I don't think we can read too much into the accent there, to be honest. It's probably a Tottenham fan. I don't think we can worry about relegation. The squad is far too good for that, and there's too much positive energy to allow it. And if we're anywhere near that, then Marinakis will probably pull the trigger again.
Yeah, and Kate, relegation to the Championship, right now, the way Nottingham Forest is and the way it's being run and how successful you've been with your squad, you can't see that anytime soon, surely.
I can't. No, and it's been floated, away at Istanbul, followed by away at Preston. We're not here for that. Ange is not here for that. Marinakis is not here for that. I am not worried about that right now.
Yeah, we'll put a poll up right now. The poll that we've got on X at the moment, it's will Ange do better at Forest than Nuno? And that's just a way you can interpret that whatever you want, but however you think is better is the way you interpret. And significantly more people are saying that Ange will not do better than Nuno Espirito Santo this season. OK, Kate, George, thank you very much indeed, and to the viewers as well for getting involved in that as well.